Hello, Siam.
Hello, Shanto.
Okay. So today we will discuss about the presentation on question answer 2.5. I am Hasibul Hassan Shanto and Syed Ahmad Jubair will discuss about the question and its answer. Okay. The question is given an inferior goods, consider a consumer in a two good world. Question A. Show graphically that a given good must be inferior. Use the Slutsky equation to help your discussion. Question B. Show graphically that an inferior good does not need to be a given good. Use the Slutsky equation to help your discussion. Okay. In the solution part, we will discuss about the solution.
Thank you, Shanto. So, as Shanto had discussed earlier, we will talk about the given good and inferior good in this discussion. And as the given goods say, when the Walrasian demand of a given good increases, its price increases. It means when its price increases, the Walrasian demand of a given good increases. So, when it decreases, the Walrasian demand of a given good decreases. And from this perspective, we can say that the all-Russian demand of a given good has a positive slope. And we will discuss it in the next slide regarding the substitution effects.
Okay. From this slide, let me ask or discuss a question that whether the law of demand is not followed in the case of given good.
Yeah,
What do you
definitely,
think?
Shanto. Thank you for the discussion. So, as you know, when the price of any good increases, the demand of that good decreases. But we can see here that when the price of a given good increases, the demand of it also increases. And there are some reasons for it, and we will discuss about it, Shanto. Thank you. So,
Okay,
in the
okay.
next
That's what we
part,
are talking about.
yeah. So in the next part, we have discussed it from the Slutsky equation, and from the Slutsky equation, as we have read earlier in the 2-1 semester. So there we have discussed about the substitution effect, about the total effect, and about the income effect. And as Shanto, you know already, the substitution effect is always negative, but the income effect can be negative or can be positive. So here the income effect is negative. And now why? Because there is no relation between the income and its price. As I have discussed and we have discussed earlier, that when the price of any good increases, the all-Russian demand of that good also increases. So there is no connection between the income and its price. So from this perspective, the income effect is negative here. And
Okay.
from this part, we can know or we can see the valuation or we can see the conclusion regarding this session. So here we can see that substitution effect is less than the income effect. Substitution effect is less than the income effect, and the total effect is negative here. So from that perspective,
Okay.
we have concluded to our discussion of part A, and then we will move forward to the
Okay.
inferior.
From this slide, or as far as we have gone, can you say that what's the difference between the given good and inferior good?
Yeah, thank you,
From the
Shanto.
answer.
So given good are basically the basic goods or that goods that we can't substitute. These are the basic goods like rice, lentils, or these kind of things where we can't search any substitute. So when the price of that good increases, people don't get any substitution of those products. And from that perspective, as we have mentioned earlier, the income effect is negative there. So yeah, that is the given good. And when the inferior good is there, inferior good, there also the income effect is negative, and we will discuss it in the later sections. But there are some substitutes for inferior good.
Okay. 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 Understandable. Okay. We should go to the next slide. Okay.
Okay. So, Shanto, there are some differences, as I have mentioned earlier, between the inferior good and the Giffen good. So here
Yeah,
the
yeah.
inferior good, when our income increases or when people's wealth get increased, they substitute to different kind of, or they switch to better goods. Like when we are
Yeah,
poor or when we have limited incomes, we stick to the basic lentils, basic rice. But when our income increases, we move to better foods, better clothes. So that is inferior goods, as there are some substitutes. So from here we can see that the Slutsky equation part, that the income effect is negative, and also as we know, every time the substitution effect will be negative, and here the total effect is also negative. And now coming to the part of question of the Shanto, that Shanto mentioned earlier, here the substitution effect is actually higher than the income effect. The
yeah, yeah.
substitution
You
effect
can
is
see this.
higher than the income effect. So you see, Shanto, that is the main differences between the inferior good and the Giffen good.
Okay, okay. Understandable.
Shanto, do you have any kind of questions or anything to
We
add?
should, and lastly, we should conclude our session, but we can discuss about the conclusion. What conclusion we can arrive from the answer of the question?
Yeah. So Shanto, as you know, we have seen in the figure 2.7 is the inferior good, and in the figure 2.6 there are Giffen good. In the Giffen good, the substitution effect, you see the substitution effect is less. Here
Yeah,
substitution
yeah.
effect is
You can
less
see
and
this.
income effect is higher. Here income effect is higher. So here a Giffen good must be inferior. Here, a Giffen good will
Okay.
always be inferior, but an inferior good, in the case of inferior good, the substitution effect is higher. The
Yeah, we can see
substitution
this.
effect is higher, as there are many substitutes of these goods. So substitution effects is higher. So it is not necessary that the inferior good will be Giffen in the case of when it is an inferior good. So I think that is the conclusion that we are looking for.
Okay. Thank you very much. So this is the end of our discussion.